For many women, the path to physical mastery is blocked by a deeply ingrained social narrative. We are often taught to view self-touch with a sense of isolation, as an echo of childhood shame, or a temporary measure used in the absence of a partner. Somatic educator Alina Chamberlain frames this practice as the essential first stage of sexual literacy. It functions as the technical foundation for understanding how the body actually processes pleasure. The mechanics are straightforward. Guiding a partner toward your climax is functionally impossible without first identifying the specific physical route yourself. This diagram illustrates the neural bridge. Using a private environment to map physical triggers allows a woman to establish a clear connection from her physical sensations to the brain, overcoming the mental disconnect that often prevents climax. Developing this mastery requires treating the body as an educational system. By moving past the shame narrative, the focus shifts toward the active study of one's own biological responses. Self-stimulation serves different biological roles as we age. In childhood, it often acts as a mechanism for self-soothing during high stress, while in adolescence, it functions as a safety valve for surging hormonal energy. In adulthood, the frequency of this need is determined by a woman's sexual constitution, the biological baseline for how often her body requires physical release. For those with strong constitutions, the need for release occurs frequently. When tension rises, self-touch returns the nervous system to equilibrium. Conversely, a woman with a weak constitution rarely feels spontaneous urges. For her, solo practice serves as sexual training, intentionally activating the body's responsiveness. Some redirect this energy entirely into fitness, work, or parenting, a process known as sublimation. While functional, this often stems from a restrictive upbringing that causes a woman to detach from her own physical desires. Regardless of constitutional type, ignoring these biological requirements can lead to persistent irritability and a nervous system that remains in a state of unresolved tension. Moving into the laboratory of solitude provides a controlled environment. Without the pressure to perform for a partner, a woman can focus exclusively on the mechanics of her own response. This chart tracks the sexual response cycle: desire, arousal, plateau, and orgasm. Each stage requires distinct sensory inputs. Mapping these stages allows precise identification of erogenous zones like the U-point or G-spot, creating a reliable physical map to eventually share with a partner. However, this healthy exploration has specific clinical guardrails. If self-touch is used compulsively, multiple times a day, solely to manage panic attacks or generalized anxiety, it becomes a symptom of a nervous system disorder requiring professional therapy. A second dependency can form with pornography. If a woman relies exclusively on visual stimuli to reach a climax, she may find herself avoiding real intimacy as her brain becomes wired to the screen rather than her own body or partner. Somatic education is designed to deepen the connection to the physical self. When used as a repetitive escape from reality, it loses its educational value. Women in long-term relationships often face the psychological hurdle that solo practice is a waste of energy or a sign of a failing connection. Reframing this requires looking at the biological data. In many developed nations, the right to pleasure is recognized as a fundamental health requirement, as regular climax resets the vascular system and boosts immune function. Energized, think of the libido as an engine that requires regular operation. Consistent self-discovery ensures the body remains responsive and sensitive, primed for when you do engage with a partner. Mastering the response cycle in solitude serves as the technical foundation for shared intimacy. There is also a physiological requirement for transferring solo success to intercourse. As this diagram shows, a toned pelvic floor is necessary to create the friction required to stimulate internal structures like the clitoral legs and the G-spot. Without the muscular tone to create friction and the somatic map to guide the movement, the physical act of intercourse alone is often insufficient to trigger a climax. Claiming your own pleasure in solitude builds the biological foundation necessary for partnered mastery. It ensures that when you finally connect with another partner, your body is fully prepared for the experience.
The electronic version of all chapters from the full book, She Who Awakens by Alina Chamberlain, can be found at wishforlove.org.